Hey guys, T-Blur. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Lyon, and I got my JoJo build that I've been grinding through the line up here on the screen. I do have the Richelieu unlocked. I played a couple games last night in it. We'll be getting a video out on that soon. Part of the reason I wanted to show this game though is it's on Fault Line. There's a lot of problems with the way Fault Line's being played right now. I do have an intention of doing a video dedicated to that map and analyzing the different positions. But for now, we're going to be taking a look at this right-hand side here. Now, the general flow of this map, it's more prevalent on capture the base than domination, but it still pops up in domination, and I think it happens this game as well. Is the south side, you have a spawn under A spawn to the left-hand side of that big island to the south of B, and then you have a spawn closer to C, which is irrelevant for what we're talking about here. The big island spawn south of B, most of the ships usually come towards A kind of inexplicably. Sometimes on domination they'll play the center more since there's an objective there, but they kind of sail around to the south end of A. So you're going to have two waves in general playing this north side. You're going to have the initial wave that spawns to the south of A, and then they're going to have reinforcements come 3, 4, or 5 minutes later. And I don't think that's a good strategy, sending all those ships over here, but for our purposes today, we can just understand that that's the tendency. So my team to the rest of my spawn here, they're all bugging out because I don't know why. I think they're scared here because, it ends up being a weak side position. I shouldn't blame this guy here. He's not running away. He's just committing suicide. But neither of my teammates here are really playing too properly, I suppose, in my opinion. But what you want to do here, if you can't contest A, you want to at least slow them down to pushing through here and capturing the base, slow that down. But they're probably going to push through, so you just need to understand that. This is another weak side defensive kiting position, and you'll see how that works out in this game here. We've lost our cruiser support as expected if you're going to sail broadside to a bunch of battleships. That's typically what's going to happen there. And then our other guy, he's decided to secure that island to the north of, the northwest of B. A very strategically important island in his mind, but I would disagree with him. There's no base back there. He cannot really cover the bases A or B that effectively. I mean, I don't understand that, but he's in his mind, he's playing capture the base, he's retreating here, and then he's going to go sit in the base for the rest of the game. There's no base back there, Chief. I don't understand it. So maybe he's getting shots, maybe not. But why not be closer to where I am? Spread out a bit so we're getting a little bit of a crossfire. And then slow down the push that's coming. He's not even covering the side that's pushing aggressively through. My philosophy in this game, the way the spawns work now, you're responsible for where you spawn. Okay, you need to cover that. You need to either contest it if it's an objective, capture it if it's an objective, or slow them down if they're pushing through. Whatever it is, you need to be influencing that side. Abandoning it, to me, is conceding major strength to the enemy team. They now control the entire west side of the map. Is it a strategically important position? No, it isn't, but we've given up a cap for free, and they're pushing through to create new crossfire opportunities by having people to the south of B and the west of B and the north of A. So, not a very good opening move by my team over here. But we do have a Nuremberg sailing broadside to us, terrifying Lyon salvo, and he gone. That's rule number 1 for cruisers: don't sail broadside to battleships. Rule number 2: don't sail broadside to Lyons, because they will absolutely destroy the heck out of you. You got 16 guns at that range. It's not an issue. Now I'm turning here fairly aggressively. I'm expecting this Gneisenau now to be torping. But you can see here his crew is blasting a bunch of fireworks at me. That doesn't bother me any. It doesn't damage my ship hardly at all. I have a damage con ready to go in case I get a double fire. But I hope he's not running a hardcore secondary build on the Gneisenau. You're going to get a lot more output from those guns than you will from these little fireworks that they got loaded on the deck. So we'll take a pause here to note that both of their DDs are on C. That's important. When you're playing these kind of defensive slowdown, clogging type of scenarios here, if they have DDs in the area, or you suspect they do, you kind of have to be going full speed away from the enemy the entire time. Whereas if you're identifying the DDs in a separate location, the torp threat is diminished, and then you can kind of slow down, speed up, whatever. But you're primarily trying to stop the flow of the enemy team, so going slower in general is kind of what you want to be doing. You know, again, when maps have natural flows, circular flows in particular, by clogging up their side, you're effectively just killing their push, because your strong side should be pushing in their own circular motion. So that's kind of the general idea with these lopsided maps. But here now, you can see here, these are kind of the reinforcements that I was talking about coming from B. And just think in your mind, if you had spawned to the south of B and then played over here, which there's a fairly decent chance that's how you play it, because I see almost all players doing this. So by the time it took from him to spawn south of B, sail all the way west into A, and then now come out there, I had about 100k damage and 3 kills. I had effectively, you know, with a little bit of support here and there perhaps, single-handedly though, stopped this entire push over there. And that's not going to happen every time, but the fact of the point I'm trying to make here is it took them all this time to get involved in the game. And look at the ship score on top there. These last two guys, maybe they've taken a couple shots here and there, maybe not, I have no idea. But they've effectively taken themselves out of the entire game until it's completely over. And so I want you guys to be, if you have really low scores at the end of the game, and it's one of these maps where you can take yourself out of the game just by your position, you need to take a minute and then just kind of analyze, like, what happened here? Why did I not have any effect? If you go through the entirety of the game, you're like, wow, I didn't see anyone. That's a problem. I mean, you're effectively forced your team to play with one arm tied behind their back. These two players had minimal, zero to minimal impact. And I'm not picking on these two. This is extremely common. This is why we're going to be talking about Fault Line a bit more in the near future. But they spawned south of B. They sailed all the way west, did nothing for 3-4 minutes there. Then they sailed all the way north through a captured base in an area of the map where they cannot possibly shoot anyone. And then they've gotten to here, and now they're going to get slaughtered by a Lyon on a tear. That's an ineffective game, and it's all due to the positioning. So if you spawn south of B and there's an objective on B, i.e. if you're playing domination mode, you need to play B, at least contest it. Sailing to the west, either your team's lost over there, maybe you can clean up over there and get that point, maybe not, but dedicating 5 or 6 ships to get one objective and killed up to 3 enemy ships to the north of A, that's a misallocation of resources. We've had B the entirety of the match, and that's because they abandoned it, and that's hundreds of points on the scorecard right here. So, point number 1, play the objectives that you spawn on. It's your responsibility. If you abandon them, you're hurting your team, so don't do that. And number 2, the sailing to the west from the south center spawn on this map is a losing proposition on both game modes. I don't recommend it. I'd like to see it stop, but again, we'll be talking about that more in the future here. So another huge game with the Lyon, though. This thing is an absolute beast. It's probably my favorite tier 6 battleship. It can be deleted. If you have an opportunity to damage this thing, go ahead and damage it, because it's very, I don't want to say it's easy to get these massive games, but they're fairly frequently popping up in my personal experience. So extremely dangerous ship, especially if the commander is spec'd out for accuracy. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.